The rain hammered against the windows of the small diner on Fifth Avenue, creating rivers that distorted the neon lights outside into abstract paintings of red and blue. Maya Chen wiped down the counter for what felt like the 100th time that evening, her mind wandering to the stack of overdue bills waiting for her in the cramped apartment she shared with her younger brother. "Table 6 needs a refill," called out Marcus, the cook, his gruff voice pulling her back to reality. Maya grabbed the coffee pot and made her rounds, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. At 24, she'd already worked 3 jobs to keep her brother in college after their parents passed. The diner was her primary income, supplemented by weekend shifts at a bookstore and occasional freelance graphic design work that barely paid enough to cover groceries. The bell above the door chimed, and Maya glanced up automatically. 3 figures entered, their expensive clothes immediately out of place in the modest establishment. 2 men flanked a woman who carried herself with the kind of confidence that came from never having to check a price tag. Her dark hair was pulled back in an elegant twist, and her eyes, an unusual amber color, scanned the room with predatory precision. They chose a booth in the corner, and Maya approached with menus, her practiced smile in place. "Good evening. What can I get you folks tonight?" The woman's amber eyes fixed on Maya with an intensity that made her want to take a step back. There was something unsettling about the way she looked at her, as if she could see straight through to Maya's bones. "Just coffee for now," the woman said, her voice smooth and cultured. "Actually, could you give us a moment? We'd like to speak with you privately." Maya blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" "Your name is Maya Chen, isn't it?" one of the men asked. He was tall, with silver-streaked hair and the kind of build that suggested he spent considerable time in a gym. 24 years old, guardian to your brother Daniel, currently enrolled at Columbia University. The coffee pot nearly slipped from Maya's hands. "How do you know that? Who are you people? Please sit down." The woman gestured to the empty seat across from her. "I promise we mean you no harm. My name is Victoria Blackwood, and I have a proposition that could solve all of your financial problems." Maya's first instinct was to walk away. Nothing good ever came from strangers who knew too much about your life, but the mention of her financial problems made her pause. The rent was 2 weeks overdue, and Daniel's tuition payment was due in a month. She was drowning, and everyone could see it. Against her better judgment, she slid into the booth, setting the coffee pot on the table between them. "You have 5 minutes," Maya said, trying to sound more confident than she felt. Victoria smiled, revealing perfectly white teeth. "Direct. I appreciate that. I'll be equally direct. I represent someone very powerful, someone who needs a favor. In exchange for 1 evening of your time, a few hours really, you would receive $200,000. Maya's mouth went dry. 200. What kind of favor are we talking about here? Because I'm not. Nothing illegal, and nothing that would compromise your safety or dignity, Victoria interrupted smoothly. You would simply need to attend an event, play a specific role for the evening, and then you'd be free to go. Think of it as acting, a performance. What kind of performance? Victoria leaned back, studying Maya with those unnerving amber eyes. My employer needs someone to pretend to be his companion for an important gathering, someone who can be convincing in the role, who can handle herself under scrutiny. You have the right look, the right energy. This sounds insane, Maya said, though she didn't stand up to leave. $200,000. That would pay off everything. The rent, Daniel's tuition, their parents' remaining medical bills. It would give them breathing room, maybe even a chance at a normal life. I know how it sounds, Victoria acknowledged. But I assure you this is a legitimate offer. My employer is a very private man who finds himself in a complicated social situation. He needs someone by his side for 1 evening to discourage certain unwanted attention. You would be well protected, and the compensation reflects both the unusual nature of the request and the discretion we require. Why me? Maya asked. There are thousands of people in this city. Professional actors, models, people who do this sort of thing for a living. The second man, who had been silent until now, spoke up. You have no connections to our world, no preconceived notions, no hidden agendas. You're exactly what we need. Someone real, someone genuine. Your world? Maya echoed. What world is that? Victoria exchanged a glance with her companions. All will be explained if you agree, but I need your answer now. My employer's event is tomorrow evening. You would need to come with us tonight for preparation and briefing. Tonight? No, this is too fast. I need time to think. Time is a luxury we don't have, Victoria said, her tone hardening slightly. And frankly, neither do you. I know about the eviction notice, Maya. I know your brother's tuition is due. I know you've been surviving on 4 hours of sleep a night for the past 2 years. This is your chance to change that. Maya's hands clenched into fists under the table. The fact that these people knew so much about her life was terrifying, but Victoria was right. She was desperate, and desperate people made risky decisions. If I say yes, Maya said slowly, I want the money up front, half before the event, half after, and I want it in writing, a contract that specifies exactly what I'm agreeing to. Victoria's smile widened. Smart girl. Agreed. You'll have your contract within the hour, reviewed by any lawyer you choose. The first payment will be transferred to your account before midnight tonight. Maya took a deep breath, feeling as though she was standing on the edge of a cliff. Every rational part of her brain screamed that this was a mistake, that nothing this good could be real. But she thought of Daniel, of the worry lines that had appeared on his young face, of the way he pretended not to notice when she skipped meals so he could eat. One evening, Maya said firmly, that's all. And if anything feels wrong, anything at all, I walk away. Fair enough, Victoria stood, and the 2 men followed suit. Finish your shift. We'll wait. And Maya, thank you. You're helping more than you know. 3 hours later, Maya found herself in the back of a sleek black car, driving through the gates of an estate in upstate New York that looked like something out of a Gothic novel. The mansion sprawled across manicured grounds, its stone facade illuminated by strategically placed lights that cast dramatic shadows. Where are we? Maya asked, pressing her face against the window. The Silvermoon estate, Victoria replied. It's been in my employer's family for generations. You'll be staying here tonight and tomorrow until the event. The car pulled up to the main entrance, and Maya was ushered inside by Victoria and her silent companions. The interior was even more impressive than the exterior. High ceilings, dark wood paneling, artwork that probably cost more than her entire apartment building. It was beautiful and intimidating in equal measure. This way, Victoria led her up a grand staircase and down a long hallway. These will be your rooms for your stay. Someone will bring you dinner shortly, and tomorrow we'll begin your preparation. Wait, Maya caught Victoria's arm before she could leave. You said you'd explain everything. Your world, your employer, what this event actually is. I signed your contract. I'm here. I deserve to know what I've gotten myself into. Victoria paused, seeming to consider something. Finally, she nodded. You're right. Sit down, Maya. What I'm about to tell you will sound impossible, but I need you to listen with an open mind. Maya sat on the edge of an ornate 4-poster bed, her heart beginning to race. I'm listening. There's another world that exists alongside yours. One that most humans never see. A world of shifters, of people who can transform into wolves. We live among you, hidden in plain sight, governed by our own laws and hierarchies. Maya stared at her, waiting for the punchline. When none came, she laughed nervously. You're joking, right? Werewolves aren't real. Victoria's eyes began to glow, that amber color intensifying until it was almost luminescent. Aren't they? Maya scrambled backward on the bed, her breath coming in short gasps. What? How? Breathe, Victoria commanded, and despite her fear, Maya found herself obeying. I'm not going to hurt you. None of us will. But you needed to understand the truth. The event you'll be attending tomorrow night is a gathering of the most powerful shifter families in North America. And the man you'll be pretending to be the companion of is Adrian Silvermoon, the Alpha King. Alpha King, Maya repeated faintly. Like, the king of werewolves? The king of all shifters in this territory, Victoria corrected. He's the most powerful among us, the one who maintains order and settles disputes. But his position also makes him a target. There are those who would challenge him, who seek to take his throne, and according to our laws, an unmated alpha is seen as vulnerable, incomplete. Understanding began to dawn. So you need me to pretend to be his mate, to make him look stronger, less vulnerable to these challengers. Exactly. You're quick, that's good. Tomorrow night, leaders from every major pack will be gathered for the autumn Convergence. It's a quarterly meeting where territorial matters are discussed, alliances are formed, and power dynamics are established. Adrian needs to project strength, and having a mate by his side does that. But why not find him a real mate? Someone from your world who understands all this. Victoria's expression turned grim. Because finding a true mate isn't something that can be forced. It's a rare and precious thing in our world, a bond that forms between two people who are destined for each other. Adrian has looked for years and found no one, and the longer he remains unmated, the more his rivals circle. So we improvise. Maya's head was spinning. Werewolves, shapeshifters, alpha kings. It sounded like something out of a fantasy novel, not her real life. And yet, she'd seen Victoria's eyes glow. She'd felt the otherworldly power that seemed to emanate from these people. This is insane, Maya said, more to herself than to Victoria. This is absolutely insane, and I should leave right now. But you won't, Victoria said softly. Because you need the money, yes, but also because part of you is curious. Part of you has always known there was more to the world than what you could see. Maya wanted to deny it, but she couldn't. There had always been moments in her life, strange sensations, inexplicable feelings, dreams that felt more like memories. She'd dismissed them as imagination, but now, what do I have to do? Maya asked finally. Tomorrow, you'll be prepared. Clothing, etiquette, background information. You'll need to know how to act like a mate, how to respond to Adrian, how to navigate shifter society. It's a lot to learn in a short time, but I believe you can do it. And during the actual event, you'll stay by Adrian's side. You'll let him touch you. Nothing inappropriate, just the casual contact that mates share. Hand-holding, a touch on the arm or back, that sort of thing. You'll smile, you'll be charming, and you'll make it clear to everyone present that you belong to him and he belongs to you. The way Victoria said belong made Maya shiver. It sounded so absolute, so binding. And after, once the evening is over, you go home. The money is yours, your obligation is fulfilled, and you can return to your life. Adrian will find another solution for the next gathering, but tomorrow night, you'll have bought him valuable time. Maya stood and walked to the window, staring out at the moonlit grounds. Somewhere out there was her normal life, the diner, her tiny apartment, her mountain of bills. And here, in this impossible mansion, was a chance to change everything. I'll do it, she said quietly. But I want to meet him first. This Adrian Silvermoon. If I'm going to pretend to be his mate, I should at least know what he looks like. Victoria smiled. He's actually requested the same thing. He'll join you for breakfast tomorrow morning. For now, get some rest. You're going to need it. After Victoria left, Maya explored her temporary quarters. The bedroom alone was larger than her entire apartment, with an attached bathroom that featured a soaking tub and a shower with more jets than she could count. Someone had laid out pajamas on the bed, silk naturally, and brought up a tray of food that looked like it came from a five-star restaurant. Maya ate mechanically, her mind trying to process everything she'd learned. Werewolves were real. She was in a mansion owned by their king. Tomorrow night, she would stand beside him and pretend to be his destined mate in front of the most powerful supernatural creatures in North America. It was completely insane, and yet, she'd agreed to it. Maya changed into the silk pajamas and climbed into the enormous bed, expecting sleep to elude her. But exhaustion from years of overwork finally caught up with her, and she drifted off almost immediately, her dreams filled with glowing amber eyes and silver moonlight. Morning came too soon, announced by gentle sunlight streaming through the gauzy curtains. Maya woke disoriented, momentarily forgetting where she was. Then, memory crashed back, and she sat up abruptly, half expecting to find herself back in her cramped apartment. The entire previous night, nothing but a vivid dream. But no, she was still in the opulent bedroom at the Silvermoon estate, and according to the antique clock on the mantel, she had 20 minutes before breakfast with the Alpha King. Maya rushed through her morning routine, grateful to find that someone had brought her clothes, designer jeans that actually fit her perfectly, and a soft cashmere sweater in deep green. Even the undergarments were her exact size, which was both impressive and slightly creepy. She tried not to think too hard about how thoroughly these people had researched her. A soft knock at the door made her jump. "Miss Chen? I'm here to escort you to breakfast." Maya opened the door to find a young woman with kind eyes and a warm smile. She was dressed simply, but elegantly, and there was something about her bearing that suggested she was more than just a servant. "I'm Elena," the woman said. "I'm Adrian's cousin. I'll be helping you prepare for tonight's event." "Nice to meet you," Maya said, following Elena down the hallway. "I have to admit, I'm incredibly nervous about all this." "That's completely normal," Elena assured her. "But don't worry, Adrian isn't as intimidating as his reputation suggests. Well, not to friends anyway. To enemies, he's absolutely terrifying, but that's sort of the point of being an alpha king." They descended the grand staircase and wound through several hallways before reaching a sunlit breakfast room. French doors opened onto a terrace overlooking gardens that seemed to stretch on forever. And standing by those doors, his back to them as he looked out at the grounds, was a man who made Maya's breath catch in her throat. He was tall, well over 6 feet, with broad shoulders and a physique that suggested both strength and grace. Dark hair fell slightly long, brushing the collar of his crisp white shirt. Even from behind, there was something commanding about him, an aura of power that seemed to fill the entire room. "Adrian," Elena said softly. "She's here." He turned, and Maya got her first clear look at the Alpha King. Adrian Silvermoon was perhaps the most striking man she'd ever seen. His features were sharp and aristocratic, high cheekbones, a strong jaw, a mouth that looked like it rarely smiled, but it was his eyes that truly captured her attention. They were the same unusual amber as Victoria's, but somehow more intense, more alive. They seemed to glow with an inner light, and when they focused on Maya, she felt as though he was seeing every secret she'd ever kept. "Miss Chen," he said, his voice a deep rumble that she felt in her chest. "Thank you for agreeing to help us." Maya found her voice with effort. You're welcome, and please, call me Maya." He moved toward her with a fluid grace that confirmed everything Victoria had told her about shifters. This was no ordinary man. There was something predatory about the way he moved, something wild barely contained beneath the civilized surface. "Shall we eat?" Adrian gestured to the table, where an elaborate breakfast had been laid out. "We have much to discuss, and I prefer to do so on a full stomach." Maya took a seat, acutely aware of Adrian settling into the chair beside her, not across from her as she'd expected. Elena excused herself, leaving them alone. "You must have questions," Adrian said, serving her coffee without asking if she wanted any. Somehow, he got the proportions perfect. 2 sugars, a splash of cream. "Victoria told you about our world?" "She told me enough to make me question my sanity," Maya admitted. "Werewolves, shifters, are real. You're their king, and I'm going to pretend to be your mate for an evening." "Did I miss anything?" A ghost of a smile touched Adrian's lips. "That's the essential summary, yes. I apologize for the deception, but we couldn't risk telling you the truth before you agreed. Many humans react poorly to learning about our existence." "I can imagine," Maya said dryly. She took a sip of the perfectly prepared coffee and tried to gather her thoughts. "So what exactly does being your fake mate entail? Victoria mentioned staying by your side and allowing casual contact, but what does that actually look like?" Adrian was quiet for a moment, seeming to choose his words carefully. "In shifter culture, mates are deeply connected. They're protective of each other, aware of each other at all times. There's a physical ease between them, a natural intimacy that others can sense. You and I will need to project that same connection." "But we just met," Maya pointed out. "How are we supposed to look like we're deeply connected?" "We practice," Adrian said simply. "Starting now. May I?" He held out his hand, palm up, and Maya stared at it for a long moment before placing her own hand in his. The instant their skin touched, something happened. A jolt of electricity seemed to pass between them, making Maya gasp. Adrian's eyes widened fractionally, and his fingers tightened around hers. "Did you feel that?" Maya asked breathlessly. "Yes," Adrian said, his voice rough. He was staring at their joined hands with an expression Maya couldn't quite read. "That's unexpected." Is it normal? No. He seemed to shake himself, though he didn't release her hand. Some shifters are more sensitive to energy than others. You might have latent abilities, or perhaps it's simply strong chemistry. Either way, it will make our performance more convincing. Maya's hand tingled where Adrian's fingers wrapped around hers. She tried to focus on what he was saying rather than the distracting warmth spreading up her arm. "What else do I need to know?" she asked. Over breakfast, Adrian explained the intricacies of shifter society, the pack hierarchies, the territorial boundaries, the complex web of alliances and rivalries that governed their world. Maya listened intently, trying to absorb information that would have seemed like fantasy just 24 hours ago. "The autumn convergence is technically neutral ground," Adrian explained. "Violence is forbidden during the gathering itself, but that doesn't stop rivals from making verbal challenges or forming alliances against me. The presence of a mate, or the appearance of one, will discourage some of that maneuvering." "Why?" Maya asked. "I mean, I'm human. I'm not going to be much help if someone decides to challenge you." Adrian's expression darkened. "In our world, to attack an alpha's mate is the gravest offense possible. It would turn every pack against the offender, regardless of past alliances. Even my worst enemies wouldn't risk that. Additionally, a mated alpha is considered to be at his strongest. The bond with a mate enhances our power, our stability. So I'm basically a shield," Maya said, trying not to feel unsettled by the idea. "More than that," Adrian said softly, his amber eyes meeting hers. "You're meant to be my equal, my partner. That's how we must present ourselves tonight. Not as master and servant, but as two halves of a whole." The intensity in his gaze made Maya's heart race. For a moment, she forgot this was supposed to be pretend. There was something in the way Adrian looked at her that felt devastatingly real. "I'll do my best," Maya promised, pulling her hand back reluctantly. "When do we start practicing?" Adrian's smile was slow and predatory. "Right now, Maya Chen. We have until sunset to convince the world that you're mine." The words sent an inexplicable shiver down Maya's spine. Part fear, part anticipation, and something else she didn't want to name. She'd agreed to play a role for one evening, nothing more. So why did Adrian's possessive words make her feel like she'd just stepped into something far more complicated than a simple arrangement? As the morning light streamed through the windows and the Alpha King reached for her hand once more, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that her life had just changed in ways she couldn't begin to understand. And the most terrifying part was that she wasn't entirely sure she wanted to go back. The hours between breakfast and the evening's event passed in a blur of preparation that left Maya's head spinning. Elena had taken charge of her transformation, leading her through a crash course in shifter etiquette that felt more complex than learning a new language. "Never break eye contact first with anyone except Adrian," Elena instructed as she worked on Maya's hair, styling it into an elegant updo that left a few strategic tendrils framing her face. "Looking away first signals submission, and as the Alpha King's mate, you submit to no one but him." "What if someone challenges me directly?" Maya asked, watching Elena's skilled hands in the mirror. "They won't. To challenge you is to challenge Adrian, and no one is that foolish. But if someone does try to test you, stand your ground. Confidence is everything in our world. Show weakness, and they'll tear you apart. Metaphorically speaking, of course." Maya swallowed hard. Of course. The dress they'd chosen for her was stunning, a floor-length gown in deep midnight blue that seemed to shimmer with silver threads when she moved. It was elegant without being ostentatious, sophisticated without being cold. When Maya looked at herself in the full-length mirror, she barely recognized the woman staring back. "You look perfect," Elena said with satisfaction. "One more thing." She fastened a necklace around Maya's throat, a delicate silver chain with a pendant that featured an intricate design of a wolf and moon intertwined. The metal was warm against Maya's skin, almost alive. "This belongs to the Silvermoon family," Elena explained. "It's been passed down through generations. Adrian wanted you to wear it tonight." Maya touched the pendant gently, feeling the weight of centuries in the smooth metal. "It's beautiful. It's also a statement. Everyone will recognize it, will know what it means. You're under the protection and claim of the Alpha King." A knock at the door interrupted them. Victoria entered, her sharp gaze assessing Maya from head to toe. Whatever she saw must have satisfied her. because she nodded approvingly. Excellent work, Elena. The cars are ready. Maya, Adrian is waiting for you at the main entrance. Victoria's expression softened slightly. Remember everything we've taught you today. Trust your instincts and trust Adrian. He won't let anything happen to you. Maya descended the grand staircase carefully, mindful of the unfamiliar high heels and the flowing gown. The mansion was alive with activity, staff moving purposefully, other well-dressed individuals she assumed were members of Adrian's pack heading toward the front entrance. And there, standing at the bottom of the stairs like something out of a fairy tale, was Adrian. He wore a tailored black suit that emphasized his powerful build. His dark hair swept back to reveal the sharp angles of his face. But it was his eyes, those luminous amber eyes, that captured and held her attention. When he saw her, something flickered in their depths, something primal and intense that made her breath catch. Adrian moved to the base of the staircase, offering his hand as she reached the final steps. "You look breathtaking," he said, his voice low enough that only she could hear. "You clean up pretty well yourself," Maya managed, trying to sound casual despite her racing heart. His fingers closed around hers, and again she felt that electric connection, that spark that seemed to arc between them whenever they touched. Adrian's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly, and Maya wondered if he felt it too, this inexplicable pull that seemed to grow stronger each time their skin met. "Ready?" Adrian asked. Maya took a deep breath. "As ready as I'll ever be to pretend to be the mate of a werewolf king in front of a room full of supernatural creatures. So, a normal Tuesday." Adrian's lips quirked in genuine amusement. "Your sense of humor will serve you well tonight. The wolves respect courage, and humor is a form of bravery." They walked together to the waiting car, Adrian's hand resting possessively on the small of Maya's back. The gesture felt natural, protective, and she found herself leaning slightly into his touch without thinking. If this was acting, they were both remarkably good at it. The drive to the venue took nearly an hour, winding through increasingly remote countryside, until they reached what appeared to be an enormous lodge nestled in dense forest. Cars lined the circular drive, luxury vehicles that probably cost more than Maya would earn in a lifetime. "The Convergence is held at neutral territory," Adrian explained as they approached. "This lodge belongs to the council, the governing body that oversees all packs. It's one of the few places where even I must follow rules set by others." "Is that why you need me here?" Maya asked. "Because you're more vulnerable on neutral ground?" Adrian's expression turned grim. "Perceptive? Yes, exactly. The council enforces strict laws during Convergence, but those laws also limit my ability to respond to threats. Having you by my side adds a layer of protection and projections of strength that I wouldn't have otherwise." As they exited the car, Maya became aware of eyes watching them from every direction. Shifters in elegant attire stood in clusters, their conversations pausing as Adrian and Maya passed. The weight of their collective attention pressed down on her like a physical force. Adrian's hand found hers, lacing their fingers together. "Breathe," he murmured. "You belong here. You belong with me. Believe it, and they will too." Maya squeezed his hand, drawing strength from his presence. Together, they entered the lodge. The interior was magnificent. Soaring ceilings supported by massive timber beams, stone fireplaces large enough to stand in, and chandeliers made from antlers that cast a warm, golden glow. The main hall was filled with shifters, perhaps 200 or more, all dressed in their finest, and all radiating that same otherworldly power that Victoria and Adrian possessed. A hush fell over the crowd as Adrian entered, Maya at his side. She kept her chin high, her expression serene, even as her heart hammered against her ribs. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but she forced herself to match Adrian's confident stride. "Adrian Silvermoon," a voice boomed from across the hall. "The Alpha King graces us with his presence at last." A man approached, older than Adrian, with silver hair and a face that might have been handsome if not for the cruelty in his pale blue eyes. He moved with the same predatory grace as Adrian, but where Adrian's power felt controlled and purposeful, this man's felt chaotic, dangerous. "Marcus Blackthorne," Adrian acknowledged coolly. "Still playing games, I see." Marcus's gaze slid to Maya, assessing her with an intensity that made her skin crawl. "And who is this lovely creature? Don't tell me the great Adrian Silvermoon has finally found someone willing to tolerate him." Maya felt Adrian tense beside her, but before he could respond, she spoke up. "Maya Chen," she said clearly, meeting Marcus's gaze without flinching. "And you are?" A ripple of surprise went through the nearby shifters. Marcus's eyes narrowed. "Marcus Blackthorne, Alpha of the Northern Territories. You're human." It wasn't a question, but Maya answered anyway. "I am. Is that a problem?" "A human mate for the Alpha King," Marcus said, a sneer creeping into his voice. "How unconventional. Tell me, little human, does he keep you as a pet? Or perhaps a snack for later?" The insult was calculated, designed to provoke. Maya felt Adrian's fury like heat radiating from his skin, but she placed her free hand on his arm, a gentle restraint. "He keeps me as his equal," Maya said calmly, channeling every ounce of confidence she didn't quite feel. "And I'd be careful with your tone, Mr. Blackthorne. I may be human, but I'm under the protection of someone far more powerful than you'll ever be." Marcus's face flushed with anger, but before he could respond, another voice cut through the tension. "Well said, young lady. Marcus, stop antagonizing our guests." An elderly woman approached, her white hair braided in an elaborate crown. Despite her age, she moved with fluid grace, and the power emanating from her was formidable. Everyone, including Marcus, stepped back respectfully. "Elder Sophia," Adrian inclined his head in a gesture of respect. "It's good to see you. And you, Adrian, though I'm far more interested in meeting your mate." Sophia's keen gray eyes focused on Maya with an intensity that felt like being examined under a microscope. "Maya Chen, an unexpected choice, but then you always did prefer to chart your own course." "With respect, Elder, Maya isn't a choice. She's my destiny," Adrian said, and the conviction in his voice was so complete that Maya almost believed it herself. Sophia studied them both for a long moment. "Interesting," she murmured. "Very interesting indeed. Come, the ceremony is about to begin. Adrian, you know your place. Maya, dear, stay close to him. Tonight will test you in ways you cannot yet imagine." The cryptic warning sent a chill down Maya's spine, but she had no time to dwell on it. Adrian guided her toward the center of the hall, where an open space had been created. Other alphas and their mates were gathering, forming a large circle. "What's happening?" Maya whispered. "The bonding recognition," Adrian replied quietly. "It's a ceremony where mated pairs stand together before the council and the assembled packs, allowing their bond to be witnessed and acknowledged. We'll need to participate. Adrian, I don't know what— Follow my lead. And Maya?" He turned to face her fully, his hands coming up to cup her face gently. "Whatever happens, don't let go of me." Before Maya could ask what he meant, the lights dimmed. Candles sprang to life around the circle, their flames dancing without any wind to move them. Elder Sophia stood at the head of the circle, flanked by 2 other council members. "We gather tonight to honor the bonds that unite us," Sophia intoned, her voice carrying through the hall with unnatural clarity. "The connection between mates is sacred, the foundation upon which our packs are built. Let those who are bonded step forward and be recognized." Adrian led Maya into the circle, and she was acutely aware of every eye upon them. Other pairs joined them, alphas with their mates, some human like her but most clearly shifters. The air grew heavy with power, thick with an energy that made Maya's skin tingle. "Join hands," Sophia commanded. "Open yourselves to the recognition." Adrian took both of Maya's hands in his amber eyes locked onto hers with an intensity that made the rest of the room fade away. "Trust me," he breathed. The council members began to chant in a language Maya didn't recognize, their voices rising and falling in a hypnotic rhythm. The candle flames grew brighter, their light seeming to pulse in time with the chant. Maya felt something building in the air, a pressure that increased with each repeated phrase. The other mated pairs began to glow, a soft luminescence that started at their joined hands and spread outward, enveloping them in cocoons of light. "Adrian," Maya whispered, fear creeping into her voice. "What's happening?" "The ceremony reveals true bonds," he said tightly. "We should be fine. We just need to look convincing." But as the chanting reached a crescendo, something went wrong. The tingling in Maya's skin intensified, becoming almost painful. The air between her and Adrian seemed to shimmer, to vibrate with an energy that was building beyond her control. "Adrian, something's wrong," Maya gasped. His eyes widened. "Maya, whatever you're feeling, push it down. Don't let it—" Too late. The energy exploded outward from their joined hands, a burst of silver light so bright that several shifters cried out and shielded their eyes. Maya felt as though lightning was coursing through her veins, burning and electric and absolutely overwhelming. And then she felt it, a searing heat on her left shoulder blade, as if someone had pressed a brand against her skin. She cried out in pain and surprise, stumbling forward. Adrian caught her, and as his hands gripped her arms, she saw the same silver light blazing from a point on his neck, just above his collar. The chanting stopped abruptly. The hall fell into shocked silence. Elder Sophia approached them slowly, her expression unreadable. "Show me," she commanded. With trembling fingers, Maya reached for her shoulder, pulling aside the fabric of her dress. She couldn't see it, but she could feel it, a design etched into her skin, still warm and pulsing with residual energy. Gasps echoed through the hall. Adrian's face had gone pale, his hand moving to his own neck, where an identical mark blazed silver against his skin. "Impossible," someone whispered. "A true mate bond," another voice said, awed. "But she's human." Marcus Blackthorn's voice cut through the murmurs. "This must be a trick, some kind of magic to deceive us." Elder Sophia silenced him with a gesture. She examined the marks on both Maya and Adrian with careful attention, her weathered fingers hovering over the designs without quite touching. "These are genuine," she announced, her voice carrying absolute authority. "I have seen many mate bonds in my long life, and I know the true mark when I see it. Adrian Silvermoon and Maya Chen are destined mates." The hall erupted into chaos. Shifters shouted questions, argued, demanded explanations. Maya swayed on her feet, overwhelmed by the pain, the noise, the impossibility of what had just occurred. Adrian pulled her against him, his arms wrapping around her protectively. "I've got you," he murmured into her hair. "I won't let anyone hurt you." But even as he spoke the words, Maya saw faces in the crowd, Marcus Blackthorn among them, twisted with fury and calculation. She'd come here to help Adrian by pretending to be his mate, to give him protection for one evening. Instead, something had marked them both, binding them together with a connection that everyone present recognized as real, and judging by the expressions she saw around the room, that mark had just made her the target of every wolf who wanted to see the Alpha King fall. "Adrian," she whispered, her voice shaking. "What have we done?" His arms tightened around her. "I don't know, but whatever this is, whatever's happened, I promise you, I won't let them use this against you. You're under my protection now, truly and completely." Elder Sophia's voice rose above the chaos. "Peace. There will be order in this hall." When silence finally fell, she continued, "A true mate bond is a gift from fate itself, not something to be questioned or challenged. Adrian, Maya, you have my congratulations and the council's blessing." But blessing or not, Maya could feel the shift in the room. What had been curiosity and mild hostility had crystallized into something far more dangerous. She'd stopped being an oddity and become a threat, a human who had somehow achieved what many powerful she-wolves had failed to do. As Adrian led her away from the circle, Maya caught sight of her reflection in one of the hall's many windows. The mark on her shoulder was visible above the neckline of her dress, an intricate design of a wolf and crescent moon, identical to the pendant around her neck, now seemingly etched into her very skin. It was beautiful. It was terrifying. And it was permanent. Whatever arrangement they'd made, whatever simple pretense they'd agreed to, had just become infinitely more complicated. Maya had agreed to play a role for one evening. Instead, she'd been marked by destiny itself, bound to the most powerful shifter in North America by forces neither of them understood or controlled. The evening had only just begun, and already everything had changed. The formal presentations that followed the bonding recognition passed in a blur for Maya. Adrian kept her close, his hand never leaving hers, his body positioned protectively between her and the curious, hostile, or calculating stares from the assembled shifters. She met dozens of alphas, their mates, council members, and pack representatives. Most were formally polite, offering congratulations that ranged from genuine to barely concealed resentment. A few younger shifters looked at her with open wonder, while older ones studied her with suspicion. Through it all, the mark on her shoulder blade burned, not painfully, but with a constant warm awareness that seemed to pulse in rhythm with her heartbeat. And stranger still, she found she could sense Adrian in a way she couldn't quite explain. It was as if a thread connected them, allowing her to feel his presence even when she wasn't looking at him, to sense his emotions as shadows of her own. "You're doing beautifully," Adrian murmured during a brief moment of privacy. They'd stepped onto a balcony overlooking the forest, ostensibly for fresh air, but really to escape the oppressive attention inside. "I don't understand what happened," Maya said, her hand instinctively moving to her shoulder. "That ceremony was supposed to just— what? Make us glow like the others?" "It was supposed to reveal the bonds between established mates," Adrian explained, his expression troubled. "But mate bonds can't be faked. The ceremony doesn't create them. It only makes them visible to others, which means we somehow have a real bond," Maya finished, her voice hollow. "But that's impossible. We just met yesterday. You said true mates are rare, that you'd been searching for years." "I know what I said." Adrian's hands gripped the balcony railing, his knuckles white. "This shouldn't be possible. And yet, the mark doesn't lie. What we both carry now is the mate bond, the rarest, most powerful connection two shifters can share. But I'm not a shifter," Maya pointed out. "I'm completely human, which makes this even more unprecedented." Adrian turned to face her, his amber eyes searching hers. "Maya, I need you to understand something. This changes everything. You can't just go home after tonight. That mark makes you a target. Every enemy I have will see you as a weakness to exploit, a way to get to me. And worse, the bond itself, it can't be undone." Maya's breath caught. "What do you mean it can't be undone? A mate bond is permanent. Once formed, it's part of you, woven into your very soul. Separating bonded mates is—" He paused, seeming to struggle with the words. "It would be like tearing yourself in half. The pain, the loss, it drives shifters mad. Many don't survive it." The balcony seemed to tilt beneath Maya's feet. "So you're saying I'm stuck with this? With you? Forever?" Adrian's expression darkened. "I understand this isn't what you agreed to. If I could undo it, spare you this burden, I would. But the bond has made its choice. All we can do now is deal with the consequences." Before Maya could respond, the balcony door opened. Victoria stepped out, her face grave. "We have a problem," she said without preamble. "Marcus Blackthorne is calling for a challenge." Adrian's entire body went rigid. "On what grounds?" "He's claiming the bond is false, that you've used dark magic to deceive the council and claim an unfair advantage. He's demanding a trial by combat to prove your worthiness to lead." Maya's stomach dropped. "Combat? Like fighting?" "To the death," Victoria confirmed grimly. "It's within his rights under Convergence law. If an alpha believes another has gained power through deception, they can issue a direct challenge. He's been looking for an excuse for years," Adrian said through clenched teeth, "and now he thinks he's found one." "When?" "Tonight. He's invoked the immediate right. The challenge must be answered before the Convergence ends." Adrian's jaw worked as he processed this. Maya could feel his fury through that strange connection between them, could sense the predatory violence that lurked just beneath his controlled exterior. "Except," Adrian said finally, "I'll face him." "No!" The word burst from Maya before she could stop it. Both Adrian and Victoria turned to stare at her. "I mean, isn't there another way? Can't the council intervene?" "The council can't refuse a legitimate challenge," Victoria explained gently. "It's one of our oldest laws. Marcus knows this. He's been planning this move for a long time, and your appearance and the bond gave him the perfect opportunity." Maya felt sick. This was her fault. If she hadn't agreed to come here, if that bond hadn't somehow formed, Adrian wouldn't be forced into a fight that could end in his death. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "This is because of me." Adrian crossed to her in 2 quick strides, his hands cupping her face and tilting it up to meet his eyes. "This is not your fault. Marcus would have found another excuse, another time. At least this way, I have you. How does that help? I'm human. I can't fight. I can't. The mate bond strengthens me, Adrian interrupted. Makes me faster, more powerful, more difficult to kill. If anything, having you here gives me an advantage, not a weakness. But his words didn't comfort her. Maya could see the concern in Victoria's eyes, could feel the tension radiating from Adrian despite his confident words. This was dangerous, potentially fatal, and it was happening because she'd been foolish enough to think she could play pretend in a world she didn't understand. When? Maya asked quietly. In 1 hour, Victoria said. The challenge will take place in the arena beneath the lodge. She hesitated. It's not going to be easy to watch, Maya. Shifter combat is brutal. I'll be there, Maya said firmly. If Adrian was fighting because of her, the least she could do was witness it. Tell me what I need to do. The arena was exactly as brutal as Victoria had warned. It was a circular pit carved from stone, accessed by stairs that descended deep beneath the lodge. Tiers of seating rose around it, and every seat was filled with shifters eager to witness the challenge. Maya sat in a place of honor, or perhaps a place of judgment, directly adjacent to the council's box. Adrian had left her there with Victoria and Elena, promising to return victorious. But the confidence in his voice hadn't matched the concern she felt thrumming through their bond. The crowd fell silent as Marcus Blackthorne entered the arena from one side. He'd stripped to the waist, revealing a body covered in scars, evidence of countless battles fought and survived. His pale blue eyes scanned the crowd before settling on Maya, and the hatred in them made her shiver. Tonight, Marcus's voice boomed through the arena. I challenge the legitimacy of Adrian Silvermoon's rule. He claims a mate bond with a human, an impossibility used to deceive and manipulate. I call for trial by combat, as is my right under ancient law. The crowd roared approval. Maya realized with sinking dread that many of these shifters wanted to see Adrian fall, wanted Marcus or someone like him to take his place. Adrian entered from the opposite side, and the roar changed quality. Not exactly approval, but a predatory anticipation. He'd also stripped to the waist, and Maya saw for the first time the full extent of his power. His body was a weapon, all lean muscle and coiled strength, marked with a few scars but nothing like Marcus's collection. And on his neck, just above his left shoulder, the mate mark glowed with a soft silver light. Adrian's eyes found hers across the arena, and through their connection, Maya felt his determination, his focus. He wasn't fighting for his throne or his pride. He was fighting for her, to protect the bond they now shared, whether they'd chosen it or not. Elder Sophia stood, raising her hands for silence. The challenge has been issued and accepted. The combat will continue until one fighter yields, dies, or is incapable of continuing. The victor's claim shall be considered proven. Let the trial begin. For a heartbeat, neither Adrian nor Marcus moved. They circled each other slowly, eyes locked, measuring and assessing. Then Marcus struck. He was fast, faster than anything human, but Adrian was faster. He dodged the first blow, countering with a strike that sent Marcus staggering. The crowd erupted into cheers and jeers as the two alphas clashed. Maya watched in horrified fascination as the fight escalated. These weren't just men fighting. They were apex predators, each trying to prove dominance over the other. Blows that should have shattered bones were shrugged off. Blood began to flow from cuts and gashes, but neither fighter slowed. And then Marcus began to shift. His body rippled, bones crackling and reforming. Fur sprouted from his skin, his face elongating into a wolf's muzzle filled with razor-sharp teeth. In seconds, a massive gray wolf stood where Marcus had been, easily the size of a small horse, with eyes that burned with malevolent intelligence. The crowd's cheering reached a fever pitch. This was what they'd come to see. True shifter combat, wolf against wolf. Adrian's transformation was different. Where Marcus's shift had been violent and chaotic, Adrian's was fluid, almost graceful. Silver-gray fur covered his body, and when the transformation completed, he was even larger than Marcus. A massive wolf with those same distinctive amber eyes, now burning like molten gold. The wolves collided in the center of the arena with an impact Maya felt in her chest. They tore at each other with fangs and claws, rolling and snarling, each seeking the killing blow. Through the bond, Maya felt Adrian's pain each time Marcus landed a strike. She felt his determination, his fury, and underneath it all, his fierce protectiveness, not just of his throne, but of her. The fight seemed to go on forever. Both wolves were bleeding now, their fur matted with blood. Marcus lunged for Adrian's throat, the killing strike. But Adrian twisted away at the last second, his own jaws clamping down on Marcus's shoulder. Marcus howled in pain and rage. He broke free, backing away, limping slightly. Adrian advanced, relentless, his eyes fixed on his opponent with predatory focus. And then Maya felt it, a pulling sensation in her chest, as if something was being drawn from her body. The mate mark on her shoulder flared hot, and she gasped as power rushed through her, flowing down that invisible thread that connected her to Adrian. In the arena, Adrian seemed to grow brighter, his silver fur glowing with the same light as their mate marks. His wounds began to heal, closing at visible speed. The crowd murmured in surprise, and something like fear. Marcus recognized the shift in power. With a desperate snarl, he launched himself at Adrian one final time, putting everything he had into the attack. Adrian met him mid-air. Their bodies collided with brutal force, and when they separated, Marcus lay still on the arena floor, his wolf form bleeding and broken. He wasn't dead. His chest still rose and fell, but he was clearly defeated, unable to continue. Adrian stood over him, his massive wolf form radiating dominance. Then, slowly, he shifted back to human form, standing proudly despite his injuries. "Yield," Adrian commanded, his voice carrying through the silent arena. Marcus shifted back as well, pain evident in every movement. For a long moment, Maya thought he might refuse, might force Adrian to kill him. But finally, through bloody lips, Marcus spoke. "I yield." The crowd exploded. Some cheered Adrian's victory, others looked disappointed that Marcus had survived. Elder Sophia stood, raising her hands for silence. "The challenge has been answered. Adrian Silvermoon's bond is proven true, his right to rule uncontested. Let no one question his claim or his mate again, on penalty of exile." Adrian's eyes found Maya's across the arena. Even from this distance, she could see the intensity in them, could feel through their bond the possessive satisfaction of his victory. "Now do you understand?" Victoria murmured beside her. "Now do you see what you've become to him? You're not just playing a role anymore, Maya. You're his mate, truly and completely. And he just proved to the entire shifter world that he'll fight to the death to keep you." Maya's hand moved to her shoulder, to the mark that connected her to the powerful, dangerous, impossible man standing victorious in the arena below. She'd come here for money, for a simple transaction that would solve her problems and let her go back to her normal life. Instead, she'd been marked by fate itself, bound to an alpha king by forces beyond her understanding or control. And as Adrian began making his way toward her, as she felt the pull of the bond drawing them together like gravity, Maya realized the terrifying truth. There was no going back to normal. There was no undoing what had been done. The mark, the bond, the connection that now existed between them, it was permanent, unbreakable. She belonged to him now, whether she wanted to or not. And perhaps more frightening, he belonged to her as well. Two halves of a whole, forever bound together. The evening's carefully planned arrangement had become something far more real, far more dangerous, and infinitely more complicated than either of them could have imagined. And as Adrian reached the stairs that would bring him to her side, his amber eyes burning with possession and promise, Maya knew that her life had just been irrevocably changed. The mark had chosen, the bond had formed, and there was no escape from destiny. The ride back to the Silvermoon estate was tense and silent. Adrian sat beside Maya in the back of the car, his injuries already healing thanks to his shifter metabolism, but his jaw was tight with barely controlled emotion. Victoria drove while Elena sat in the passenger seat, both women exchanging worried glances in the rearview mirror. Maya stared out the window at the dark forest rushing past, her mind struggling to process everything that had happened. The mark on her shoulder blade pulsed with a steady warmth, a constant reminder of the bond that now tied her to the man sitting inches away. "We need to talk," Adrian said finally, breaking the oppressive silence. "You think?" Maya's voice came out sharper than she intended, fear and confusion bleeding into anger. "You said this would be one evening, a simple arrangement. Now I have a permanent mark on my body, and apparently I'm bonded for life to someone I barely know." Adrian's expression flickered with something that might have been guilt. "I didn't know this would happen. Mate bonds can't be forced or faked. They form between destined pairs. The fact that it happened at all means what?" Maya turned to face him, her eyes blazing. "That we're soulmates? That's insane. We're strangers, Adrian. 2 days ago, I didn't even know werewolves existed. Now you're telling me fate decided we belong together? I'm telling you that something bigger than both of us has made a choice," Adrian said, his voice strained. "And whether we like it or not, we have to deal with the consequences. You saw what happened tonight. Marcus isn't the only one who will see you as a target now." "Then remove the mark," Maya demanded. "You said you're the Alpha King. Surely you have the power to undo this." The pain that flashed across Adrian's face was so raw that Maya felt it echo through their bond. "I can't. No one can. A mate bond isn't magic that can be dispelled, Maya. It's a fundamental connection between souls. Breaking it would destroy us both." Victoria's voice cut in from the front seat. "She needs to understand the full situation, Adrian. No more protecting her from the truth." Adrian closed his eyes briefly, then nodded. "You're right." He turned back to Maya. "The mark makes you mine in the eyes of every shifter in North America. It also makes you vulnerable. My enemies, and I have many, will see you as the perfect weapon against me. They'll try to take you, hurt you, use you to control me." "That's ridiculous," Maya said, though her heart was racing. "I'm just a human. I have no power, no value to anyone." "You have value to me," Adrian said fiercely. "That's all that matters to them. The mate bond is sacred in our culture, but it's also a weakness. A bonded alpha will do anything, sacrifice anything to protect their mate. That gives our enemies leverage they didn't have before." Maya felt cold despite the car's heating. "So what are you saying? That I'm in danger?" "Significant danger," Elena spoke up, her usually kind face serious. "Marcus isn't the only alpha who wants Adrian's throne. Some will try to challenge him directly, but others will be smarter. They'll come for you. Then I'll leave," Maya said desperately. "I'll go home. Disappear. They won't be able to find me." "The bond doesn't work that way," Adrian interrupted gently. "You can feel it already, can't you? The connection between us? That pull will only grow stronger. Being separated causes physical pain for bonded mates. And besides, you'd be even more vulnerable on your own. At least here, I can protect you." Maya wanted to argue, to insist that she could take care of herself, but she couldn't deny the truth of his words. She could feel the bond, that invisible thread tying her to Adrian. Even now, sitting next to him, she was acutely aware of his presence in a way that transcended normal perception. "So what's the plan?" she asked finally, her voice small. "I just stay with you? Give up my life, my brother, everything?" "Daniel will be protected," Adrian assured her. "I've already arranged for security around him, though he won't know it. Your apartment, your possessions, everything will be taken care of. And when things are safer, when the immediate threat has passed, you'll be able to see him again." "When will that be?" Maya demanded. "Weeks? Months? Years?" Adrian's silence was answer enough. The car pulled up to the Silvermoon estate, and Maya was escorted inside by Victoria and Elena, while Adrian disappeared to handle what he called urgent security matters. They brought her back to the same opulent bedroom she'd stayed in the night before. A lifetime ago, it seemed now. "Get some rest," Elena said kindly. "I know everything feels overwhelming right now, but I promise it gets easier. The bond can be beautiful, Maya. It's not just a burden." After they left, Maya sat on the edge of the bed, her mind racing. She pulled out her phone, which somehow still had service, and stared at her brother's contact information. Her fingers hovered over the call button, but what would she say? "Hi, Daniel. I'm fine. Just bonded for life to a werewolf king and being hunted by his enemies. How was your midterm?" A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. "Maya? It's Adrian. May I come in?" She almost said no, but the mark on her shoulder warmed at the sound of his voice, and she felt that inexplicable pull toward him. Fine. Adrian entered, now dressed in fresh clothes, his earlier injuries completely healed. He looked exhausted, though, emotionally drained in a way that had nothing to do with physical wounds. "I wanted to apologize," he said, remaining near the door as if afraid to come closer. "This is my fault. I should never have involved you in our world. I was arrogant, desperate, and now you're paying the price for my mistakes." Maya studied him, this powerful alpha king who looked genuinely tormented by what had happened. "Did you know this could happen? Even a possibility?" "No," Adrian said emphatically. "Mate bonds are rare, and they've never formed during a recognition ceremony before. Most shifters search their entire lives without finding their true mate. I certainly never expected mine to be a human I'd just met." "But you feel it too, don't you?" Maya asked quietly. "The connection?" Adrian's amber eyes met hers, and the intensity in them made her breath catch. "Yes. Every second I'm aware of you. Your emotions, your presence. It's like you're a part of me I never knew was missing until now." Maya touched her shoulder, feeling the raised design of the mark through her clothes. "What does it mean? The design?" Adrian moved closer, carefully, as if approaching a skittish animal. "May I show you?" When Maya nodded, he pulled down the collar of his shirt, revealing the identical mark on his neck. In the lamplight, it seemed to shimmer, a wolf in mid-leap, surrounded by a crescent moon and stars. "The wolf represents strength and loyalty," Adrian explained. "The moon represents the cycle of life, the connection between all shifters, and the stars. They represent destiny. The mark is unique to each bonded pair, but they always share common elements." "It's beautiful," Maya admitted reluctantly, "but I didn't choose this." "Neither did I," Adrian said softly. "But perhaps fate knows something we don't. Perhaps there's a reason we were brought together." Before Maya could respond, the window exploded inward. Glass shattered across the room as a figure crashed through, rolling and coming up in a crouch. It was a shifter, eyes glowing amber, teeth elongated into fangs, clearly in a state of partial transformation. Behind him, two more figures climbed through the broken window. Adrian moved with inhuman speed, placing himself between Maya and the intruders. "Get back," he commanded. The lead intruder laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "The Alpha King and his human pet. Marcus sends his regards." "Marcus is a coward who sends assassins in the night," Adrian snarled. His own transformation began, bones cracking as his body prepared for combat. "Leave now, and I'll let you live." "We're not here to fight you, Your Majesty," the assassin said mockingly. "We're here for her." Everything happened at once. The three intruders rushed forward in a coordinated attack. Adrian met the first one with brutal efficiency, his partially transformed claws ripping across the shifter's chest. But while he was occupied, the other two went for Maya. Maya screamed, backing toward the door, but one of the assassins was faster. His hand closed around her arm, yanking her toward the window. The mark on her shoulder flared hot, and she felt power surge through the bond. Adrian's fury, his fear for her safety, and then something inside Maya snapped. Power exploded from her body, silver light that sent the assassin holding her flying backward. He crashed into the wall with bone-breaking force and didn't get up. Maya stared at her hands in shock, watching silver energy crackle across her skin like lightning. "Impossible," the lead assassin breathed. "She's human! She can't!" Adrian didn't give him time to finish. With a roar that shook the windows, he completed his transformation into his massive wolf form and tore into the remaining intruders. The fight was short and brutal. Within seconds, the assassins were either unconscious or fleeing back through the broken window. Adrian shifted back to human form, breathing hard. Blood, not his own, spattered across his skin. His eyes found Maya, who was still standing with her hands raised, silver energy fading from her fingertips. What was that?" Maya whispered. Before Adrian could answer, Victoria and Elena burst into the room, followed by several guards. Victoria took in the scene with a practiced eye. The broken window, the unconscious assassin, Maya's shocked expression. "The mate bond," Victoria said slowly, her eyes wide. It's awakened something in her. That's not possible, Elena protested. Humans can't access shifter abilities, even bonded ones. Clearly we were wrong, Adrian said, moving to Maya's side. He reached for her hands carefully, examining them. The silver energy was gone, but Maya could still feel it humming beneath her skin, waiting. Maya, are you hurt? I don't think so, Maya said shakily. But what just happened? That power. Where did it come from? Adrian guided her to sit on the bed while Victoria barked orders to the guards to secure the room and capture any remaining intruders. When they were relatively alone, he knelt in front of Maya, his hands holding hers. The mate bond does more than connect us emotionally, Adrian explained. It allows us to share power, to strengthen each other. Usually that's a one-way flow. The human mate draws strength and protection from their shifter partner. But what you just did, he shook his head in wonder. You accessed power through our bond and used it to defend yourself. I've never heard of that happening before. So I'm what? Part werewolf now? Maya felt hysteria bubbling up. This night just keeps getting better. You're not a shifter, Adrian assured her. But the bond has changed you, given you access to abilities you wouldn't normally have. It means you're not as defenseless as we thought. It also means she's even more valuable, Victoria said grimly, returning from coordinating security. A human who can channel shifter power through a mate bond. There are factions who would pay fortunes to study her, to weaponize her. Adrian, we need to move her somewhere safer. Agreed. Adrian stood, his expression hardening into the Alpha King Maya had seen in the arena. We leave tonight. I have a secure location in the mountains. Only my most trusted know about it. Maya, pack whatever you need. We're leaving within the hour. Wait, just like that? Maya protested. Don't I get a say in this? Adrian's eyes softened as he looked at her. I won't force you to come with me. But Marcus's assassins found you here, in what should have been the most secure location in my territory. If you stay, they will try again. And next time, I might not be here to protect you. Maya wanted to argue, to insist that she could handle herself, but the adrenaline was fading and reality was setting in. She'd just been attacked by supernatural assassins. She'd somehow manifested magical powers she didn't understand. And the mark on her shoulder was still pulsing with warmth, reminding her that, like it or not, she was connected to Adrian in ways that couldn't be undone. Fine, she said finally. But we're going to have a serious conversation about all of this, about what the bond means, what these powers are, and what's going to happen to my life. I promise, Adrian said. Once we're safe, I'll tell you everything. The safe house was a cabin deep in the Rocky Mountains, accessible only by a narrow, winding road that would be nearly impossible to navigate without intimate knowledge of the area. It was smaller than the estate, but beautifully appointed, with a stone fireplace, exposed wooden beams, and windows that overlooked pristine wilderness. Adrian had brought only Victoria and 2 trusted guards. Marcus and Elena had stayed behind to maintain security at the estate and create the illusion that Maya was still there. The drive had taken 6 hours, and dawn was breaking over the mountains as they arrived. You should rest, Adrian said as he showed Maya to a bedroom. You've been through more in 2 days than most people experience in a lifetime, but sleep felt impossible. Maya stood at the window, watching the sun paint the mountains in shades of gold and pink, her mind replaying everything that had happened. The ceremony, the mark, the fight, the attack. It felt surreal, like a dream she couldn't wake from. A gentle knock made her turn. Adrian stood in the doorway holding 2 mugs of tea. I thought you might need this. It's chamomile. Helps with stress. Does it help with discovering you're magically bonded to a werewolf king while being hunted by assassins? Maya asked, but she took the offered mug. Adrian's lips quirked in a small smile. Sadly, no. That requires something stronger than tea. His expression turned serious. I want to explain more about the bond, about what you can expect. Maya sat on the edge of the bed, and Adrian took a chair across from her, maintaining a respectful distance despite the pull she knew he must feel too. The mate bond will continue to grow stronger, Adrian began. Right now, you can sense my presence, feel echoes of my emotions. Over time, that connection will deepen. We'll be able to communicate telepathically when we're close, share memories, even feel each other's physical sensations to some degree. That sounds intense, Maya said quietly. It is. The bond is designed to create perfect unity between mates, to make them stronger together than they could ever be apart. But it also means privacy becomes complicated. I'll do my best to shield my thoughts and feelings from you until you're ready for that level of intimacy, but it's not always possible to control. Maya thought about that, about being so completely connected to another person that thoughts and feelings bled across the space between them. It should have terrified her. Part of her was terrified. But another part, a part she didn't want to examine too closely, found the idea of that kind of connection almost appealing. What about the power? She asked. The silver energy I used against the assassin? That's harder to explain because it's unprecedented, Adrian admitted. The best theory we have is that the bond allows you to access a portion of my alpha power. It's raw, unrefined energy that responds to strong emotion, especially fear or the need to protect. With training, you might be able to control it, even use it consciously. You want to train me? To fight? I want you to be able to defend yourself, Adrian corrected. I'll protect you with everything I have, Maya, but I can't be with you every second. If you have abilities, you should learn to use them properly. It made sense, even if Maya didn't like it. She was in danger, real, potentially lethal danger, and refusing to learn how to defend herself out of stubbornness would be foolish. Okay, she said, but I need something in return. Adrian raised an eyebrow. Name it. I need to talk to my brother. I need to know he's safe, and I need to explain something. I don't know what, but I can't just disappear from his life without a word. Pain flickered across Adrian's face. Maya, that's complicated. If Marcus or his allies discover your brother's identity, they could use him against you. The less contact you have, he's all I have left, Maya interrupted, her voice breaking slightly. My parents are dead. I've spent the last 2 years taking care of him, sacrificing everything for his future. I can't just abandon him without explanation. Please, Adrian. The desperation in her voice must have reached him through the bond, because Adrian's resistance crumbled. A brief call, monitored, from a secure line. And you can't tell him anything specific about where you are or what's happening. Thank you, Maya breathed. Adrian pulled out a satellite phone and dialed a number, speaking quietly to whoever answered. After a moment, he handed it to Maya. 3 minutes. I'm sorry, but that's all we can risk. Maya took the phone with trembling hands. After 2 rings, her brother's familiar voice answered, thick with sleep. Hello? Daniel. It's me, Maya said, fighting to keep her voice steady. Maya? Where are you? It's 6 a.m. and your number showed up weird. I know, I'm sorry. Listen, I don't have much time. Something's come up. A job opportunity, actually. Really sudden. Really good money. But it requires me to be out of town for a while. Out of town where? And what kind of job? I can't explain everything right now, but I need you to trust me. I'm safe, I'm okay, and I'll be sending money for your tuition and expenses. You won't have to worry about anything. Maya, this sounds sketchy. Are you in trouble? No, Maya lied, hating herself for it. I promise, I'm fine. But I won't be able to contact you as often for a bit. Just know that I love you, and everything I'm doing is to make sure you have the future you deserve. This doesn't make sense. I have to go. Be safe, Daniel. Study hard and don't worry about me. I'll call again when I can. She ended the call before he could protest further, handing the phone back to Adrian. Tears streamed down her face, the first time she'd let herself cry since this whole nightmare began. I'm sorry, Adrian said softly. I know this is hard. Hard doesn't even begin to cover it, Maya said bitterly. 2 days ago, my biggest problem was paying rent. Now I'm hiding in the mountains from werewolf assassins, marked by a magical bond I don't understand, and lying to the only family I have left. How is this my life? Adrian moved to sit beside her on the bed, not quite touching but close enough that she could feel his warmth. If I could change it, I would. If I could go back and refuse Victoria's suggestion to involve you, I'd do it in a heartbeat. You deserve better than this. Maya turned to look at him, really look at him, for the first time since they'd arrived. He looked exhausted, haunted by guilt and worry, and through the bond, she could feel the depth of his remorse, his fierce protectiveness, and underneath it all, something that felt almost like wonder. "You feel it too, don't you?" she asked softly. "The bond. Not just the obligation or the guilt, but the actual connection." Adrian's amber eyes met hers, and the intensity in them made her breath catch. "Yes. Every moment since that mark appeared, I've been aware of you in ways I've never experienced with anyone else. It's overwhelming and terrifying and—" He paused, seeming to search for words. "And it feels right. Like something I didn't know I was missing has finally clicked into place." Maya's hand moved to her shoulder, touching the mark through her clothes. "I feel it too. I keep telling myself it's not real, that it's just magical manipulation or some kind of biological imperative. But it doesn't feel fake, Adrian. It feels like gravity, natural and inevitable." "The bond doesn't create feelings," Adrian said carefully. "It reveals them, amplifies them, connects souls that were meant to find each other. Whatever you feel, whatever I feel, it's real, Maya. That's what makes this so complicated." "Because I didn't choose it," Maya finished. "Neither of us did. How do we know what's genuine and what's just the bond influencing us?" "I don't think we can know," Adrian admitted. "Not completely, but perhaps that's true of any relationship. How do people ever know if what they feel is real or just chemistry, timing, circumstance? At least we have the certainty that fate itself has declared us compatible." Maya laughed shakily. "That's either really romantic or really terrifying. Can't it be both?" They sat in silence for a moment, the rising sun streaming through the windows and painting the room in warm light. Despite everything, the danger, the uncertainty, the complete upheaval of her life, Maya felt something unexpected in this quiet moment. Peace. The bond hummed between them, warm and reassuring, and for the first time since this began, Maya didn't fight against it. She let herself feel the connection, acknowledge its presence without trying to deny or escape it. "What happens now?" she asked finally. "Now we figure out who's really behind these attacks," Adrian said, his tone hardening with determination. "Marcus is too obvious, too clumsy. Someone else is pulling strings, using his hatred of me to create chaos. Once we identify the real threat, we can deal with it. And then?" Adrian's expression softened. "And then we have a choice. The bond is permanent, but how we choose to live with it is up to us. Some mates are deeply in love, inseparable in every way. Others maintain more independence, connected but not consumed by each other. We'll figure out what works for us." The fact that he was giving her that choice, that option for independence, made something warm bloom in Maya's chest. Despite the bond, despite his obvious power and authority, Adrian was respecting her autonomy. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for not trying to control this, to control me." "You're my mate, Maya, not my possession," Adrian said firmly. "The bond makes us equals, partners. I would never presume to command you." Maya found herself leaning closer to him, drawn by that invisible thread connecting them. Adrian's breath hitched, but he didn't move away. "The bond wants us closer," she observed. "I can feel it pulling me toward you." "I feel it too." Adrian's voice was rough. "But we don't have to act on it. Not until you're ready. And if I said I wanted to try? To see what this connection actually means?" Adrian's eyes darkened, his pupils dilating. "Then I would say we take it slow. Let the bond guide us without letting it consume us. Learn each other as people, not just as mates." Maya nodded, finding comfort in his patience. Despite the intensity of the bond, despite the danger surrounding them, Adrian was giving her space to adjust, to choose how this would unfold. "I think I can live with that," she said. As the sun continued its climb over the mountains, Maya allowed herself to hope that maybe, just maybe, this impossible situation could become something worth keeping. The mark had chosen them, the bond had formed, but how they built a life together was still theirs to decide. And for now, that was enough. 3 weeks at the mountain cabin had transformed everything. Maya's training progressed rapidly, the silver energy responding to her will with increasing precision. But more than power, she'd found something unexpected, genuine connection with Adrian that transcended the mate bond. "You're improving remarkably," Adrian said as her energy blast hit the target perfectly. "Good," Because Victoria just called. They've identified the real threat. Damien Ashford is planning a coordinated attack in 3 days. Adrian's face hardened. We run. I won't risk you. No. Maya stepped closer, taking his hands. We fight. Together. I'm done hiding, Adrian. The bond chose us both. Let's show them why. Through their connection, she felt his resistance crumble. If we do this, you promise to run if things go wrong. I promise, Maya said, knowing neither of them would abandon the other. Dawn brought Damien's forces, 50 shifters descending on the cabin in a wave of fur and fangs. Maya stood beside Adrian at the entrance, their hands clasped, the mate bond blazing silver between them. Last chance, Silvermoon! Damien's voice boomed. Surrender the human! Never! Adrian growled. The battle was chaos. Wolves crashed against their defensive line, while Maya channeled power through the bond, her silver energy creating barriers and throwing attackers back. She and Adrian moved as one, perfectly synchronized, each amplifying the other's strength. But there were too many. Damien in wolf form broke through, lunging directly at Maya. Adrian was blocked by 2 lieutenants, unable to reach her. Maya didn't hesitate. She pulled deep on the bond, and silver light exploded from her body. The shield sent Damien crashing backward, stunned. Standing over the fallen alpha, power crackling around her, Maya's voice rang with authority. I am Maya Chen, mate to Adrian Silvermoon. I will not be threatened or used as a weapon. Stand down or face exile. The combined force of her command, backed by Adrian's power through their bond, was overwhelming. One by one, Damien's forces submitted, shifting back to human form with bowed heads. Damien himself struggled up, hatred burning in his eyes. This isn't over. Yes, Adrian said coldly, appearing at Maya's side. It is. Leave my territory. You're finished. Maya stood on the estate balcony, Adrian's arms wrapped around her as they watched the sunset together. 2 months ago, I was a waitress drowning in debt, she murmured. Now look at me. Now you're my equal, my partner, my mate, Adrian said softly. The bond showed us what was always meant to be. Maya turned to face him, touching the mark on her shoulder, no longer a burden, but a symbol of choice and love. I agreed to pretend for one night. Instead, I found forever. Forever sounds perfect, Adrian said, kissing her gently. The moon rose over the estate, illuminating the bonded pair. They'd been chosen by fate but united by choice, and together they would face whatever came next. Maya had found her destiny, her power, and a love that transcended worlds. The arrangement had ended. The real story was just beginning.